The golden sun began its slow climb over the Serengeti, casting a soft amber hue across the endless plains. The air shimmered with heat even in the early morning, and the grass swayed gently under the breath of a new day. Herds of wildebeest moved in the distance like dark rivers, and birds called out across the open sky. In the shade of a small acacia tree, hidden among thick brush, a young leopard cub lay curled beside his mother. Leo was small, barely past the age of weaning. His coat was soft, dappled with black rosettes that seemed to flicker as the sunlight filtered through the branches above. His eyes, bright and alert, scanned the horizon with the curiosity of youth. But this morning, that curiosity was replaced by confusion and fear. His mother, Amara, had not moved since dawn. The night before had been chaos. The sound of snarls and shrieks had pierced the darkness as Amara defended her cub from a pack of hyenas. Though she had fought bravely and forced them to flee, she had been left with a deep wound on her hind leg. She had limped back to the thicket, sheltering Leo beneath her belly, her breath ragged and uneven. Now her eyes remained closed, and her side rose and fell with alarming slowness. Leo did not understand the concept of death, but he felt the cold shadow of it. He nudged Amara's face with his nose, then let out a soft mew. When she didn't respond, he began to pace in small, frantic circles. Something ancient stirred within him, a wild instinct not of the hunt, but of survival. He needed help. Without knowing why, Leo left the safety of the bush. He moved through the tall grass, his small form low and cautious. The sense of the wild filled his nose, elephants, antelope, the acrid tang of vultures, but he pressed on. Somewhere he had seen strange beings in tall moving beasts that roared and left tracks in the dirt. He had once watched from afar as these beings knelt beside an injured zebra, tending to it before vanishing into the dust. He didn't know what they were, but something inside him said they could help. Several kilometers away, Dr. Grace Thompson was preparing her gear at the Serengeti Wildlife Research Center. Her life was devoted to the preservation and care of the animals that roamed this vast land. Years of experience had taught her to listen to every sound, to observe every sign. As she loaded supplies into the back of her Jeep with Ranger Temba, her eyes caught movement along the edge of the brush line. A small figure was approaching, staggering through the grass. Leo's appearance was both heartbreaking and astonishing. It was rare enough to see a leopard cub alone in the wild, but to see one moving toward humans, clearly distressed, was unheard of. Grace stood frozen for a moment, then motioned for Temba to stay still. The cub stopped a few meters away, panting, his sides heaving. His eyes locked onto hers for a brief second, eyes filled not with fear, but with pleading. Grace dropped to her knees, letting her experience guide her movements. She did not try to touch him, only observed. There were no visible injuries on the cub. She made a decision he wasn't here by accident. Moments later, Leo turned and limped back the way he had come, pausing every few steps to glance back. It was enough. Grace and Temba followed, driving slowly to avoid startling him. Leo led them through winding paths, across dry riverbeds, past wary gazelles and startled baboons. The journey took nearly an hour. As they traveled, Grace couldn't help but feel the weight of the moment. Her years as a veterinarian had exposed her to countless rescues and recoveries, but never had she felt such clarity of purpose. This cub had chosen to trust her, and she would not fail him. At last, they arrived at the thicket near the acacia tree. Leo stopped at the edge and turned back once more. Grace stepped down from the vehicle and carefully approached the brush. There, barely visible under the shadow of leaves, lay Amara. The sight tore at her heart. The leopard was still alive, but only just. Flies buzzed around the open wound on her leg, and her breathing was faint. Grace motioned to Temba, who brought the tranquilizer and first aid kit. They worked quickly, soothing the cub with soft sounds and careful movements. Amara's leg was badly infected. Grace cleaned the wound, administered antibiotics, and set up an four for fluids. They couldn't move her. Any transportation would risk further injury. Instead, they set up a temporary camp nearby. Over the next 3 days, they visited her regularly, checking her vitals and continuing treatment. Leo never left her side. Each night, as the stars shimmered above the savannah, Leo curled beside his mother, his body pressed close to hers. He no longer cried. Her breath was steadier now, her wounds cleaner. Grace watched from a respectful distance, documenting the healing with quiet awe. She found herself reflecting on the strange miracle of it all. A cub, no older than a toddler and human. Years had made the impossible choice to seek out humans. It defied explanation, and yet it had happened. Grace had come to Africa seeking a deeper understanding of the bond between species, but she had never imagined she would witness something like this. By the 6th day, Amara stood on her own. It was a slow rise, trembling and uncertain, but it was a rise nonetheless. Leo bounded in circles around her, his joy visible in every movement. Grace and Temba remained hidden, knowing the moment was not theirs to share. Amara's golden eyes scanned the surroundings, and for a brief instant, they rested on the spot where Grace knelt in the grass. There was no fear, only a calm recognition, a silent bond between worlds. The next morning, mother and cub disappeared into the brush, swallowed once more by the wild. Grace returned to the research center with a heart full of quiet gratitude. In all her years of work, she had never witnessed anything like it. A cub who sought help from humans, a mother who lived because of her child's courage. It was a story she would carry with her forever. Weeks later, the camera traps near the Moro copies captured images of Amara and Leo hunting together. The cub had grown stronger, bolder, his movements sure. And Amara, scarred but proud, walked with the grace of one who had returned from the edge. The Serengeti moved on, as it always did, but in one quiet corner of its vast expanse, a story had unfolded that reminded everyone who heard it of the unspoken bonds between all living things. A little leopard had cried out not in fear, but in hope, and that hope had been heard. Leo never understood what he had done, but the wild remembered. And sometimes, on soft Serengeti mornings, when the grass dances with golden light, one can almost hear the echo of a cub's cry carried on the wind, a whisper of love and bravery that lingers in the heart of the land.
Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please comment 1. And if you didn't, just hit like. See you in the next videos.